All right, what's up, family? Here's one here. It's a little different than what y'all pretty much expect, but things that we see all too often. And this one here, I'm going to title this one, Homelessness Life. Things you wouldn't understand or believe. Because the reason I say that is a lot of times, a lot of us have this preconceived notion of what homelessness really look like, such as, oh yeah, homelessness is a person live up under a bridge in a cardboard box, this and that. No, it's not always that. Although you may see stuff like that, Skid Row and all that, that's not always the case. That's why I said we have a preconceived notion. I'm gonna give you two words of the day. That's gonna be a statement right there. Preconceived. What does preconceive? It is a bunch of opinions formed in a person's mind without any evidence or facts. See, this is some type of notion you put in your mind, and you think this is what it looks, what homelessness looks like. No, let me tell you something. That's why I said I'm gonna title it "Homelessness Life: Things You Wouldn't Understand or Believe." Would you believe if I tell you a lot of people that's homelessness, they right amongst us, they walk amongst us, they work amongst us every day. And you would never know it. A person's not going to come up and tell you that they homeless. They're not going to come up and tell you, because a lot of them got pride, nigga, like they're not going to tell you that. But a lot of homeless people, believe it or not, when I tell you, they're your children's teachers. They are the people who pack your groceries at that local grocery store that you love to frequent. They are some of the people who fix your food at that restaurant that you go to, or when you go get your coffee in the morning. A lot of these people are right amongst us. We just don't know it. What's another, there's common grounds for homeless people. You wouldn't even know it. How many times you ever ride by a Walmart late at night when they close? You see them cars parked there? Or you'll see a camper parked there? Another thing about them campers, let me tell you something. If you ever got a dump, you're going to put something in the garbage and you see a camper, don't do it. That's another thing. There's a little added little incentive I give you. Don't dump nothing in a garbage if you see a camper next to it. Because trust me when I tell you, what that camper is more than likely doing? They're dumping their feces in there. When you open that garbage and put your soda bottle in there, you're like, woo! You don't want that. But let's get back to the point. A lot of times these homeless people are right amongst us. And a lot of times, remember that video we watched many years ago, boy, that little kid said that? He said, man, a lot of people in this world, they like one paycheck away from being homeless. You know, one little thing will mess you up in life. Now, that bothered me big time because this kid was only, he was something like, 14 or something like that? He knew too much because his father had lost his company. You know, his father had a hardware store. You know, when these big companies came out, Home Depot and Lowe's, it knocked them little mom and pops out. You know, his father lost the company, they lost their house, he lost his job, and they were staying in a homeless shelter. And this 14-year-old boy was telling a story about, he said, man, I only got 4 more years before I got to really get my life together. I was like, yo, that's crazy for him to be talking like that. But he knew how severe and it was them being homeless, living in a shelter. There's rules when you stay in a shelter. Everybody's not so pleasant with being in a shelter. But look, let me get back to my point. Homelessness, like I said, sometimes they right amongst us, you don't even know it. I'm going to give you a personal story of mine. Watch this. I remember when I was a little kid, I'm going to say about the 2nd grade. See, sometimes some stories or people, it stay with you for a lifetime. It might be your favorite book. It might be your favorite movie. Some things stay with you. We know how trauma, you never forget trauma, like the old video we did, memory restoration. And I explained about memory, how some things stay with you for life. But anyway, this one of them stories that stayed with me. I remember I was in the 2nd grade. One of my friends, he was in another class. I remember one day he said to me in gym class, he said, hey man, you know Miss such and such. He said her name, I don't remember her name. Let's just make up a name. He said Miss Rose, right? He said, hey man, you know Miss Rose? And I was like, oh, you mean your teacher? He's like, yeah, man. Yo, man, she living inside her car. And I'm like, we was young, little, naive little kids at the time. But I never forgot this when he told me this. To this day, I always remember it. He said, yeah, Miss Rose, man, I think she living in her car, man. That's crazy, man. That's nasty. And I was like, what? I said, how you know she living in her car? He said, man, because she got all that junk in her car. How many of y'all seen people like that when you went to the local grocery store or wherever you went, to the gym or whatever, right? And you seen a person's car packed all the way with the windows covered with all kind of stuff. And you're like, man, that's a sign. It's not always the case, but that is a sign of a person living in their car, all their stuff in their car. But anyway, back to the story. So the kid was like, yo, man, she got all her stuff in the car. Yo, when we get out of school, and I was like, what? He said, yo, when we get out of school today, we're going to go to the back road of that street, in the back of the school, the other street. He said, because she parks over there. I said, yo, Dad, how you know where she parked? And then he said, because my mom said he sees that lady car parked there at nighttime when she's getting off work. Yo, I said, wow. And sure enough, little kids being nosy, we went over there after school, and sure enough, her car was there. A little Pinto. Y'all remember the old Pinto? This right here, these old cars. She had a Pinto. And sure enough, the whole back of it was all packed with clothes and stuff. All the way to the front. You could barely see the steering wheel. It was crazy. He's like, see, man? I told you. She living in a car. And sure enough, he said, yo, you ever notice? That's why she be the first teacher at the school. She be the first one before even the janitors be here. I was like, wow, the janitors are the first ones at the school. He said, man, she's the first one here. That's because she be staying in her car. She parked in the front in the morning, but then when she leaves, she park on that back road. And then she might drive somewhere, but then she be here early in the morning. Pretty sad, you know what I'm saying? But I never forgot that. Think about it, folks. That's why I said homelessness life, things you wouldn't understand or believe. There's a lot of people that's homeless, but they have a gym membership. See, the purpose of the gym membership ain't so much that they want to work out, but some of them do. But the real purpose is it could fill in a void of time of that 24-hour day of every day, week, month, year, whatever. But also so they could take a shower. See? Because they ain't got a home, so they use the gym to take a shower. How many times, think about it, we see these people, but we don't think nothing about it. How many times you go into the gym and you might have seen a person in the parking lot as you walking through the bunch of cars, and you seen a person in the car sleeping. See, a lot of times we just think, man, that person must have got a good workout, man. That joke was tired, man. Man, maybe. But it's also a good chance, see, that person is filling in a void of his day or her day. So they go to the gym, take a shower, then go in their car, sleep for an hour or two. Until they notice too many eyes looking at them, then they drive off somewhere else. Pull in the parking lot at a library. Be at the library for a while. Pull in the parking lot somewhere else. Listen, you see this quite often. I remember many years ago, I was working alongside a guy at my job. This one I was like 22, 23. And while we was loading the trucks at the company, Airborne Express. As we was loading the truck, I was a driver, but sometimes they had to load the trucks. Unload the trucks. And I remember I was working alongside this guy, and I got pretty cool with this dude. He's an older guy. He was probably like he was like 50, 55, something like that. And man, he was telling me how he's trying to get this overtime and this and that. And I was like, man, you be trying to get all the overtime all the time, man. You ain't got the seniority yet. He's like, yeah, man, but I don't care, man. I don't mind. I'll take any shift they give me. I was like, man, what are you chasing money so much for? He's like, and then he came out, he just straight up said it. He said, man, you don't understand what it's like, man. My life, he said, you probably stay at home with your parents and living a lovely life, man. I wish I was a kid again, see? He said, that's what kids don't understand. When you're a kid, you want to rush to become an adult. But when you become an adult, you got all these responsibilities. You wish you was back a kid again. I was like, wow, that's crazy. It made me think of that old, sometimes when I wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I wish I was a kid anymore. But some days I still wish I was a kid again. But anyway, he said that. He said, man, listen, man, would you believe me? He said, man, I try not to tell my business too much. He said, but me and this guy used to talk all the time. He said, man, you wouldn't even believe me if I told you I was homeless. And I was like, come on, man, get out of here with that crap, man. He said, no, I'm serious. He said, see, people always got a, you know what I said, word of the day, preconceived notion of what homelessness look like. He said, yeah, I got a job. He said, man, and a friend hooked me up with this job. Before I was doing this, man, Man, I couldn't even tell you what I was doing, man. He said, but yeah, man, I was staying with my brother for a while and his wife and his kids. He said, but eventually I just became the guy on the couch. You know, it was fun in the beginning when I moved there, but I could see I was making everybody uncomfortable in their house by just always being there. He said, so I would try to work long hours, go to the library, take walks. I would sit in the local park, man, until the park was closing. I said, really, man? And see, this is the same guy where another guy will come to work. Let's say our start time was 6:30 in the morning. And this day I came to work super early. So I got to the job at 6 o'clock because there's some stuff I wanted to get ready on my truck and all that. When I got there at 6 o'clock, this guy will already be at the job in his car in the parking lot. Right? And then I'm like, oh, wow. So when he finally come in, I'm talking to somebody. I'm like, man, John was here early as heck. Well, I thought I was early. He was early than me. And somebody on the night crew getting off, they like, nah, he ain't early. Yo, he slept here overnight. He slept in that car all night. You know, eventually they're going to tell him he can't be doing that. See? So this is what I mean, like things you can't believe or understand. It's a lot some of them go through. It'll blow your mind. You got people that work regular jobs, but are homeless. Watch this. Speaking of homelessness, isn't it amazing how, like I said, people can have regular jobs, but they still are vagrant. That's going to be the other word of the day. So you're getting two. Preconceived notion, meaning you forming opinions without actual facts. Preconceived notion. The other one is going to be vagrancy. What's vagrancy? What's a vagrant or vagrancy? You know what it is? Homelessness. A roamer. Someone roaming. Someone just traveling. Someone wandering all the time. Watch this. Y'all remember the really good classic movie Rambo? Remember Rambo? Remember after all the stuff he was doing? Remember the chief of police? He was a troublemaker. Remember, he arrested Rambo for what? What did Rambo do? He didn't do no crime. He was just walking, minding his business. He arrested him for vagrancy. Do y'all remember that or not? Action-packed movie from beginning to end. But remember, he arrested him because he said he didn't like him. He didn't like how he looked. And because he was a vagrant. So what? I ain't got no reason. I'm walking, minding my business. Why did you mess with this guy? Here's the key part about that movie. Remember they was in the woods and the chief of police was talking to the colonel and he said, yeah, you thought your boy was special, didn't you? And the colonel's like, yeah, he is special. He said, no, he ain't no one. He's nothing but a drifter who broke the law. And that's when the colonel got on his butt. He said, vagrancy, wasn't it? That's going to look real good on his gravestone. Here lies John Rambo, winner of the Congressional Medal of Honor, survivor of countless incursions behind enemy lines, killed for vagrancy in Jerk Off USA. Y'all remember that? Man, like I said, I love a good movie, but what makes a good movie even greater when you have great dialogue. The way the colonel broke that down in Jerk Off USA, he said, you arrested him for vagrancy, right? Remember what vagrancy means? You know, homelessness, a wanderer. And remember what the chief of police said? He said, he was nothing but a drifter who broke the law. How did he break the law? For just walking? Minding his business, not doing nothing. The captain was the troublemaker. And all his men, all troublemakers, like a lot of them cops be, just troublemakers. But anyway, y'all know that was a good movie. I still can watch that to this day. But I never forgot that scene because it was like, yeah, you arrested him for vagrancy. That's going to look real good on his tombstone, on his gravestone, he said. Survivor of countless incursions behind enemy lines. Killed for vagrancy in Jerk Off USA. But yeah, back to my point. A lot of times, don't judge, because I'm telling you, there are some people going through hell, but they still managing to keep that job. They just trying to keep their head above water. You know, so don't make preconceived notions about somebody when you don't actually know the fact. Remember this video I did a while ago called "Men Are Not Expendable," and it's not just men, but in this video I was talking about men because there's so much men gotta put up with and tolerate, and how society acts like men aren't allowed to fail. You know, we gotta tuck it up, suck it up all the time, right? But it applies to women too. You never know what somebody else is going through. And just because you and this guy or you and that girl work together, you don't know when she leave that hospital, because y'all nurses together. You don't know when you leave and you go home to your family and you got a meal waiting for you. You got a house with heat or air conditioning. You got a TV to watch, a Wi-Fi and all that nice stuff. But your friend, she go get in her car or him, and they drive to a parking lot, or they sleep in the back of the building in their car, just letting the time go by, waiting to clock in the next couple of hours. But they're not going to come out and tell you this stuff. They trying to get it together. Now, one thing I will say, I love it when every now and then I hear of a story such as that, and a person really do pull themselves out of that despair that they're in. It's people like that we need to hear more stories about how they was able to lift themselves up. And yeah, it was hell. Yes, it was hard work, but they did it, which means a lot of people out there, you can do it, but it's going to take hard work. You know what I'm saying? But the main thing I would tell most people out there, stop having preconceived notions of what homelessness life looks like, because truth be told, you really don't know what it looks like. Some people out here are homeless and they working right alongside you, and you never know it. Some people are homeless and they about to snap. You know, and when I say snap, not in a violent way, some of them are ready to just give up. Because you don't know what they're going through. Y'all just work on a job together. You think everything's okie dokie and good to go. But you get off, go your way, they get off, go their way, but you don't know just how hard it is. Like I said, you go home to a nice house, this person, a wanderer, a vagrant, or sleeping in their car. Like I said, we all seen that car filled with clothes before. We thought, wow, you see that car? So in the end, in closing, what I would tell anybody, what I just said a moment ago, don't have a preconceived notion of someone, because all that is you're forming ideas and opinions in your head without any actual facts. But it is a wonderful, great thing to see a person come out of such harsh times of homelessness or whatever and get their lives together and doing great, doing much better in life. That is something that can lift someone else up and say, man, he did it, she did it. You know, I think I could do it. That motivates someone else. All right, y'all. Peace.